Hello dear viewers, welcome to RTD's English News Edition. The top stories for tonight are: in the framework of Djibouti and European Union's cooperation, the head of state presided over the first stone-laying ceremony of the desalination plant Raleigh. The Minister of Health urges immediate market removal of certain dairy products dangerous to health. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The laying of the foundation stone of the project for the production of potable water by desalination of the seawater took place today at Raleigh. The head of state, Ismail Mergele, and the First Lady, Khadra Mohammed Haid, went on site this morning. They were welcomed by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and the Minister of Agriculture, Mohammed Ahmed Awali. It was in a festive atmosphere that the ceremony took place, with the presence of numerous musical groups and cultural animations where traditional dances were highlighted. Songs were sung and dances were presented at the arrival of the presidential couple. A minute of silence, however, was observed in memory of Colonel Major Ali Gab, composer of the National Army. Ali Gab was called back to God this week. The cost of the construction of this seawater desalination plant amounts to 73 million euros, or about 14 billion of our francs. It is financed by the European Union for a cost of 67.5 million euros in the participation of the Djibouti state with a share of 5.5 million euros. The seawater desalination plant will operate thanks to the strengthening of a wind, where a wind farm will be created, and these wind turbines will provide the energy needed to process it and transport it to water towers. Three major European industrial groups, French and Spanish, namely Fitch, Decada and Merlin, have won the tenders for the realization of the different phases of this gigantic project. In addition to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture, all the other members of the government, parliamentarians, officials, senior officers of the various army, party and police representatives of the diplomatic corps attended the ceremony of laying the first stone. Director of ONAID and many notables were also present.
À l'été 2017, vous avez offert l'opportunité aux sociétés Tedagua et FH de démontrer leur savoir-faire en nous confiant la responsabilité de la conception, de la construction et de l'exploitation de la station de dessalement de Raleigh, qui sera la première usine du genre à Djibouti et dans la sous-région. C'est un challenge que nous relevons avec la plus grande fierté, car ce projet est la preuve concrète de l'engagement des autorités djiboutiennes à améliorer considérablement l'accès à l'eau potable de Djibouti et ses quartiers, avec le soutien constant de l'Union européenne. Ces initiatives permettront, à l'issue de la construction de cette usine de traitement d'eau, de produire 22 500 mètres cubes en première phase et, à terme, de doubler sa capacité, portant son potentiel.
The European Union representative was present at this event. He was very delighted to participate in this event, and he mentioned the cooperation between the two countries and the importance of this project and the planting of desalination water project. The Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock and Natural Resources, Mohammed Ahmed Wali, said that the drinking water and potable water that will be produced will meet the standards demanded by the World Health Organization. And in his speech, President Anglais spoke about the importance of water source of life in the eradication of the spectre of thirst in the country, a fight in which the country has been engaged for years on the territory. Let's listen to the President.
C'est une histoire singulière, forte, que notre pays, depuis l'aube des temps, a entretenue avec la mer.
Today we see the strong and peculiar history that the Republic of Djibouti has had since the dawn of time with the sea. Of these shores came men from all horizons, from different cultures, which have enabled to build and forge its history. From these waves we drew our sustenance that also pushed us to the open sea. Today the whole world is continuing to come to us. We owe to the sea this triple recognition. We are going to be able to add another one today, as an endless oasis to quench all our thirst and allow us to pursue our path toward development. The blue gold on the scale of the planet has become the great issue of nations and a priceless treasure for future generations. We have measured for a long time that the present and future challenges cannot be met without consolidating the water resources. For this, the state has engaged in solutions that are certainly expensive but sustainable and that require the great mobilization, sometimes beyond our borders. I'm thinking of the water supply project with this great friend and brother country that is Ethiopia. I think of the countless dams and reservoirs that have sprung up all over the country and which greatly help our rural community regularly affected by droughts. Our duty is not to find a glass of water but to learn how to dig well so that our effort and the sacrifice made are not in vain. It is a question of improving the living conditions of our population, which consists in realizing the inalienable rights, which is the access to the drinking water, and to make of Djibouti a space of cleansed life, safe from the endemic diseases. The same goes for the economic health of our country, which must operate more than ever before an industrial turn to support its growth in a higher trend, allowing everyone to enjoy its fruitful results. Ladies and gentlemen, each drop of water that the ocean will bring us, thanks to the tremendous technology that Djibouti will acquire in a few months, will therefore irrigate land already fertile projects and will consolidate our position in the heart of a region that needs peace, prosperity. We are proud of the interest and the active support that our projects receive on the part from the international community. On behalf of the nation, I would like to express to all of those who have made this project possible. I would also like to thank and to pay tribute to the National Office of Water and Sanitation and its public officials who are sparing no effort and who often work in the emergency because the need for water never waits.
Et ces agents publics qui ne managent pas leurs efforts et qui travaillent souvent dans l'urgence car le besoin en eau n'attend jamais. Vive la République, je vous remercie.
After his speech at the ceremony, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Mergeli, proceeded with the laying of the first stone of the project of this so-called desalination plant for a production of about 22,500 cubic meters in phase 1 and 45,000 cubic meters per day in phase 2 for an optimal consumption of the Djiboutian population. During the first stone laying campaign of the Ambassador of the European Union, and the President was surrounded by the Prime Minister, the Minister of Agriculture, the members of the government, representative of the industrial groups, and of course the Ambassador of the Delegation of the European Union, Mr. Adem Kulash. Continuing with the national news, the 23rd regular meeting of the political organs of the East African Standby Force, better known as ESAF, was held today in Kempinski Palace Hotel. Several defense ministers from member countries took part. This meeting had been preceded by a meeting at the expert level. The purpose of the Chief of Staff is to validate the ESAF 2018 budget, the approval of the agenda or roadmap, and other items on the agenda. This meeting was sponsored by the Prime Minister. It saw the participation of Interior Minister Hassan Omar, Minister of Defense Ali Hassan Badon, General Staff Zikriya Sheikh Ibrahim, and Nasri Kolda, passing the waiting force of the East Africa brings together military, police and civilians from different countries of the region as is stipulated in the protocol establishing the AU Peace and Security Council. This choice not only strengthens the cohesion between ISAF actors but also creates a better understanding between the peoples and governments of Djibouti and its neighbors.
The end of the First World War. I'm sure everybody in this room are well aware about the horrendous consequences of lost lives, values and other resources as a consequence of this unbelievable tragedy, which also affected the African continent. And obviously this makes it even more incomprehensible that an even worse tragedy took place just a little more than 20 years later. I'm mentioning this because, and I will just refer to the distinguished director of ESF, he was also alluding to this, we should not forget why we are here and what constitutes the core rationale for the important work and the investment and cooperation among the 10 members of EASF present here today. I believe the rationale could be summarized simply to note that EASF works towards avoiding outbreak of armed conflicts and other threats to peace and security, and securing the well-being and prosperity of the African people.
Since I took over as Director ESF in April last year, my interaction with all our member states has been very cordial and fruitful for the progress of the organization. The wise counsel and guidance I continue to receive from the chairperson of Council of Ministers have greatly facilitated the success of our activities. May I thank you all, Your Excellencies, and your various government for the excellent cooperation and support.
The Prime Minister first congratulated the E7 in his speech for its work, then he stressed that the peace and stability of the region was a screening condition for development and a better progression of economic growth. Let's listen to the Prime Minister for more details commented by Mandar Mahmoud.
Je tiens à vous apporter toute ma reconnaissance pour vos efforts collectifs.
I want to thank you for your collective effort and commitment. Thank you for your action. The East African region is making remarkable progress in its development and in its quest for peace and lasting stability. Those efforts are not only created on an environment more conducive to the progress of our people, but to the realization of the development and well-being of our people. However, despite those positive developments, we are aware that the persistent insecurity and continuing conflict in our region. The conflict occurs in southern Sudan, and the death of more than 300 Somalis last year in Somali Proud Republic is just one example. We deplore the nonsense killing of innocent civilians and the humanitarian tragedy that took place on the land in some areas. We all know that the security is required for an harmonious development of our country. Thus, the management of scarce resources remain a major factor of the conflict, but also the fact of the dialogue and some ideologies of other forms that leads to war in our region. It is necessary to review our strategy in this emerging conflict situation. This includes strengthening early warning systems that can help and prevent conflicts through rapid identification and response mechanisms. The EASF must be congratulated for the efforts made so far in recent years and for making force a regional, credible and united force as your last operation, Mashariki Salam 2 in Sudan, demonstrates.
And at the end of the ceremony, the director of the Standby Force for Eastern Africa, Abdoulaye Omar Bouh, was raised to the rank of 9th in the National Order of 27 June. Prime Minister Abdulkader Kamil Mohammed congratulated the director of ISA for his bravery and leadership at the helm of the organization, which looks after peace and stability in the region of the continent, but also raised the flag of his country at the highest level. According to the World Health Organization, an epidemic of infections in infants and mothers in France is due to the consumption of infant and adult milk, the presence of According to the World Health Organization, the presence of dairy products dangerous for health on Djibouti market being confirmed, the Minister of the Health, Dr. Jama Al-Mouki, ordered its immediate removal before the 20th of January. Households who purchase these products are also asked to return them to the National Institute of Public Health or to return them to their points of sale. This product will be immediately destroyed in the presence of health inspectors, he said. In addition, sanitary inspectors will visit all storage locations of these products to check whether the products in question are actually removed. And finally, merchants who do not comply with these instructions by the deadline of Saturday, January 20, 2018 will be exposed to heavy fines and legal proceedings. As part of the National Week of the Social Action, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Simona Osman Aden, accompanied by her staff of the ministry, today organized the launch of income-generating activities for families of children in need. This event took place this morning in the municipality of Belbela in the presence of the President of the municipality of Belbela, and this week devoted to national action is part of the national strategy for the social protection of the poor. The families of children with special needs were able to take advantage of solar panels for the house to run their appliances such as cooler, mixing its precisely in the Belbela neighborhoods. More than 12 families were able to benefit from these kinds of help and non-refundable financial credit. The Department of Social Affairs cares for these children and also ensures that these children can continue to live normally like other children attend the school too. And more than a dozen families were able to open their own activities such as businesses with the technical and financial assistance of Social Affairs. The Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Simona Osman Aden, along with the President of the Commune of Belbela, Wabiri Nour Eleye, and the Secretary General of the Social Affairs, Efrah, and also the Director of CPEC, Mohammed Ahmed Gab, were there. The Region of Unity for the Star of preparations for the legislative election scheduled for the month of February, like the capital, the prefecture of Dekhil will make available to the public the electoral cards from Thursday, January 18, so that the population can perform its civic duty and elect the candidates of their choice to the future legislative. All voter cards for the entire Dekhil region already have been signed, stamped, cut and grouped by polling stations. For the administrative center, 5 voting counters are open to the public in the premises of the prefecture from today for the 3 sub-prefectures named as Ela, Yoboki and Bulut. 4 distribution counters set up in the premises of each sub-prefecture. The Prefecture has also set up a mobile team for the distribution of electoral cards in remote areas of the region. On the news outside our borders, since the Central African Republic, the President of the International Red Cross has been alarmed by the humanitarian crisis 1 year after the return of violence in most of the country. Visiting Bangui and nearby IDP camps, the ICRS President Peter Maurer has called on the world to open its eyes to the humanitarian crisis in the country and its hitting 2.2 million displaced people. And nearly 5 years after the beginning of the conflict in the Central African Republic, which has been marked by successive waves of ethnic cleansing, the security situation is worsening. Violence has returned to most of the Central African Republic in care of the ICRS center in Bangui. Cecile testifies, I was in London, she said, when the violence started and I had to flee. When I came back, a gunman captured me and they beat me with the machete, she said, my son too. Doctors Without Borders present in the city of Paua in the northwest of the country is also fighting alongside the population. And that's all for tonight's news. Thank you for joining us on RTD channel and have a good night.